Hey guys, AJYT Abbott here, and today we're going to be talking about Tenet, the newly released film from Christopher Nolan. I've had a few weeks to digest it. Actually, I think it would be a week tomorrow since I've seen the film. Actually, no, it's been 2 weeks. So I've had 2 weeks to digest this film, sort of break it down and, really understand it, if there is a word for this movie. But I am finally ready to talk about it. And before we get started, if you enjoy this video by the end, please consider hitting that like button and that subscribe button. I know I've been very inactive the last 2 weeks. School has been circulating, coming back. We went back to school this week. It's very hectic, of course, with wearing masks and social distancing. But I just want to let everyone know that I am going to turn a new leaf very soon. I'm going to start pushing out videos for you guys if it kills me, which is very much fun. But anyway, today I'm also going to be editing this video with Adobe Premiere Pro, because I use that for one of my classes for school. So I was thinking, you know, I'll use this to enhance my YouTube channel for a bit. Once this computer goes away, I don't know what I'm doing then. Probably just gonna go back to KineMaster. But anyway, let's get out of that. Let's get to the movie review. So, Tenet is a very intriguing film. It has a lot of elements of it that I love, while also carrying around a lot of elements that I am kind of like, huh? It is, I will confirm this, it is one of my favorite films of this year, and I'm just gonna give it the final grade right out of the gate. I give it a 10 out of 10 because I realize now that some of the things that I was faulting it for coming out of the theater make a little bit more sense now that I'm thinking of it. Just thinking of the way that Christopher Nolan handles his films, because I've been binge watching the Christopher Nolan films. I mean, Interstellar, all the Dark Knight movies, all of those. I've been binge watching those. Getting ready for Tenet. Finally saw Tenet, of course, 2 weeks ago, and loved the heck out of it. But Oh, the actors. That's what I want to start with. The actors are really great. This had a great cast. John David Washington is fantastic as the protagonist. He carries himself well. And I would honestly watch more films with him in this kind of spy, mysterious role where he's kind of trying to find his place within the story. And that's a very good thing that Christopher Nolan handles. He always has handled characters very well. How those characters can play off of each other, because there is some great character chemistry in this film, especially with John David Washington and one of my favorite actors here recently, Robert Pattinson, aka Batman, aka a whole bunch of other awesome roles. He killed it in The Lighthouse, he's gonna kill it in The Batman, and he killed it in this film. He plays Neil, and he actually is a fantastic addition to the movie. When I first heard that Robert Pattinson was going to be in this film, I didn't necessarily think he was going to have a huge role to play. I just thought that he was going to be kind of, an assistant, just a kind of background character, as to it seemed that the protagonist was going to be the main focus and it wasn't really going to diverse off into any other different character stories. But we actually really do get a sense of Neil's perspective in the situation that they're in, and you really do bond with these two together. And it's great to see, Neil and the protagonist become friends and converse and try and figure out their way through this big mess of time and inversion and everything that's going on. It is a fantastic element of the film. Um, Elizabeth Debicki, I'm probably butchering that name, but she was fantastic. I forget what her name is in the film, but she was great because she is kind of that middle piece of this story. While there's all this inversion and time and action and explosions and everything going on, within it is a redemption arc. Not really redemption actually. It's kind of like a revenge slash, freeing herself from this man, because, of course, the main villain of the film, who was played brilliantly by, I believe his name, I don't really remember his name, but I'm going to work on finding out what his name right now. I'm trying to think of it. But he was great as well. But of course, he's the main villain. Kenneth Branagh. I'm butchering that probably too, but he played Andre Sator. And Elizabeth Debicki played Kat. But they were fantastic because they were kind of the middle pieces, as I said, to this story where you would think it would be obviously mainly based on the inversion of time and all these other things that are happening within. But in the middle of it is this great story about Kat trying to escape this life that she's had to live with and these consequences that have come with this life, and her finding hope in the protagonist and Neil and all these other people that are trying to help her through this issue and trying to stop Andre. Um, it really does add a whole other layer to the film that I wasn't expecting, and I wasn't expecting to really care for any of the other characters outside of the protagonist. But I was totally wrong. I even like the villain. The villain was actually very well done. He was threatening, he was menacing, he was all the things that I would want out of a action villain. You know, kind of like that mixture of Hans from Die Hard. It really does get that kind of sense to where he is a very charismatic type guy. The way he carries himself, you obviously tell that he is a very important man. He likes to be the center of the room, the center of attention of everything. But also, while those different elements settle in, he is also a very grounded and threatening, menacing character that will take no nonsense from these other characters. And that's a really awesome thing to have in this film. On top of all of that, the visuals are dazzling. Um, the soundtrack is phenomenal. I cannot wait to get my hands on the soundtrack. I am very late to getting soundtracks for movies. I just did last week get the soundtrack for Joker. I've been wanting that, especially with Halloween coming up and me being being Joker for Halloween. More on that later. But I really do appreciate that sort of extra oomph to a film where you have these awesome action sequences, these awesome acting, sequences, of course, and then on top of that, you have a solid music lineup, and the cinematography is some of the greatest I've seen this year. I know it isn't a wide variety of cinematography we've gotten this year, as with we haven't gotten a large variety of movies this year, but in terms of cinematography, Tenet has had the best by far, which is it going up against 1917 and some other films like The Devil All the Time, different films like that. But I really did appreciate the cinematography in this, the camera work. It really does put you in these situations. Here's where a little bit of spoilers are going to come in. There's a fight scene in the film where I'm sure you've seen it in the trailers with John David Washington and Robert Pattinson in the rooms, and there's the bullet impact on the glass, but what the hell happened here? Hasn't happened yet, and a guy in the SWAT kind of uniform comes out and fights them. That fight is actually inverted in a different scene, which I loved. You see the fight done in reverse, and it works perfectly. It absolutely works on all cylinders. And to be honest, the movie experience was just fantastic. Just the way because I saw this film in RPX. By the way, if you are going to see this film, see it in RPX. It is 100% worth it because you feel every single explosion, gunshot, anything like that. It's very immersive, as I said. Um, some of the side bits were also interesting. Some of the side plots, kind of, with Kat's kid being kind of restricted from seeing his mom every once in a while by Kenneth Kenneth Branagh's character. But also there is actually a bigger villain inside of it. But she gets what she deserves in the very end, which is fantastic. The after credit scene was done beautifully, and the ending with Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, their ending conversation just tugs at the heartstrings for those that really cared about that relationship. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought about Tenet. I love it. It's definitely a Blu-ray buy for me. I will definitely be getting it on Blu-ray. And yeah, just let me know what other films you've been watching recently. I've been watching a few different films. I'm probably gonna have to go off and watch Mulan now. Yay me. But I hope you guys are staying safe during the pandemic, of course. Keep on staying safe, and we will get through this together. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.